She thought her money made her untouchable. Cameras flashed as the billionaire walked into the room, head held high, scanning the crowd with disdain. Then it happened. A simple gesture of respect was offered, a hand extended in goodwill. But, with a cold stare, she refused, turning her back as if the woman before her was invisible. What she didn't know was that this moment of arrogance would cost her more than pride. Because the woman she dismissed wasn't just anyone. She held the keys to a deal worth $5 billion. Her name was Maya Johnson. To the outside world, she was poised, quiet, and unassuming. But behind that calm presence was a strategist, whose influence stretched across boardrooms and industries. Born and raised in a modest neighborhood, Maya had spent her life breaking barriers, earning degrees, building partnerships, and ultimately becoming one of the most respected investment leaders in the world. The gathering she attended that day wasn't just another business meeting. It was a historic negotiation. A $5 billion deal that could reshape the future of an entire sector was on the line. Companies had sent their most powerful representatives. Journalists crowded outside, eager to catch even a whisper of what might happen inside. Maya didn't walk in with flash or arrogance. She didn't need to. Her power wasn't in her name being splashed across tabloids. It was in the quiet respect she commanded from those who truly understood her reach. Yet in the world she moved through, not everyone saw her accomplishments first. Too often, they saw her skin. As she took her seat at the long table, she was focused only on the task at hand, guiding the deal forward. She didn't know that in these moments, her dignity and identity would be tested, not by market forces or financial rivals, but by the very prejudice she had faced her entire life. The boardroom gleamed with polished wood and glass, a stage for power. Executives whispered in corners, exchanging cautious smiles and rehearsed strategies. The billionaire, Eleanor Whitmore, made her entrance like a queen entering her court. Cameras captured every step as she paraded across the room, draped in designer elegance, her entourage trailing closely behind. She was used to attention, used to dominance. When the time came for introductions, hands extended across the table, polite words exchanged, a show of mutual respect before the negotiations began. Then it was Maya's turn. Calm, professional, she extended her hand toward Eleanor, a simple gesture meant to bridge formality with humanity. But Eleanor's eyes narrowed. With the faintest smirk, she let her gaze linger on Maya's skin, then turned away as if swatting at an inconvenience. Gasps rippled through the room, quiet, almost stifled, but impossible to ignore. The handshake that never happened became a silent thunderclap of humiliation. Maya's hand froze mid-air, then lowered, slowly. She felt the weight of the room pressing down, every pair of eyes, some filled with pity, others darting away in awkward silence. This was not new to her. She had endured these slights before, the sting of being seen as less than human, no matter her achievements. But here, in this high-stakes arena, the insult was louder, sharper, meant to diminish her. Eleanor carried on as if nothing had happened, slipping into her chair with a satisfied air. To her, it was a performance, an unspoken declaration that some people did not deserve acknowledgement. But what she failed to realize was that her arrogance had drawn invisible lines in the room. Some executives shifted uneasily in their seats, their respect for her wavering. Others watched Maya closely, curious to see how she would respond. Maya said nothing. Her silence was not weakness. It was strategy. She had learned long ago that dignity spoke louder than anger. Instead, she opened her folder, eyes fixed on the documents that would shape the course of the deal. On the surface, she was composed, but inside, she felt the familiar fire burn, one that had carried her through every obstacle life had thrown at her. Unbeknownst to Eleanor, the woman she had dismissed wasn't just another attendee. Maya wasn't there to observe or assist. She was the key decision-maker, the one with the authority to decide whether billions would flow or disappear. The insult had been public, sharp, and unforgettable. And soon Eleanor Whitmore would discover the cost of her prejudice. The negotiations began in full force. Eleanor dominated the opening, her voice sharp and commanding, eager to assert her presence. She spoke of numbers, market shares, and expansion plans as if she alone carried the weight of the $5 billion deal. Her confidence bordered on arrogance, brushing aside suggestions from others at the table. Maya listened quietly, taking notes, her composure unbroken. To an untrained eye, she might have seemed passive, but every executive in that room knew better. The final decision did not rest with Eleanor, nor with the men who eagerly backed her projections. It rested with Maya, the woman Eleanor had dismissed with a smirk. The moment arrived when signatures were needed. Folders slid across, the polished table pens clicked, and the air thickened with anticipation. Eleanor leaned forward, ready to claim victory, her name set to bind billions in ink. But then, all eyes shifted. The chair at the head of the table, reserved for the chief negotiator, was filled not by Eleanor, but by Maya. Calmly, confidently, Maya stood, her presence commanding in its quiet strength. She cleared her throat, and the room fell into silence. "This deal," she began, her voice steady, "depends on trust, respect, and vision for the future. Without those, numbers mean nothing." Eleanor's smile faltered. She glanced around, confused, searching for reassurance, but no one spoke. The executives knew the truth. Maya was the one who held the authority. Her word would finalize the agreement. In that instant, the insulted woman became the most powerful figure in the room. Eleanor's arrogance, her public dismissal, now turned against her. The realization washed over her face like a storm. The black woman she had refused to shake hands with was the one controlling the $5 billion deal she desperately wanted. The silence was unbearable, broken only by the weight of Eleanor's humiliation. And for the first time, her fortune and fame meant nothing. The deal concluded not with Eleanor's triumphant signature, but with Maya's calm authority. She outlined the terms, approved the final numbers, and with a single stroke of her pen, sealed the future of billions. The room erupted in quiet nods of respect. Everyone understood whose voice carried the true weight. Eleanor sat frozen, her hand trembling over the contract she had been so eager to claim. For the first time in her career, she wasn't the center of power. She wasn't the name whispered in awe. She was the cautionary tale, exposed for her arrogance, undone by her own prejudice. Maya never raised her voice, never sought revenge. She didn't need to. Her success was louder than any insult. By refusing to meet hate with hate, she revealed a deeper truth. Dignity and integrity were far more powerful than money or status. As the cameras clicked and the press outside speculated on the outcome, one detail spread quickly among those who had witnessed the exchange. The billionaire who refused a handshake had been forced to bow, in silence, to the very woman she had tried to humiliate. For Maya, it wasn't about revenge. It was about representation. Every slight she had endured, every barrier she had broken, had led to this moment. A moment where millions watching would see that racism carries consequences, even in the highest rooms of power. Because in the end, wealth cannot buy respect. Influence cannot erase ignorance, and a single act of prejudice can undo a lifetime of privilege. The question that remains is this: how many more stories like Maya's must unfold before the world finally learns that equality is not optional? It is essential? And that's the story of how one arrogant gesture turned into a billion-dollar lesson. Maya's quiet strength reminds us that power doesn't always shout. It often speaks in silence, in dignity, and in the refusal to bow to hate. If this story moved you, take a moment to reflect. How many times has prejudice cost more than we'll ever know? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that reveal the truth behind the headlines. And let us know in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Maya's place? Until next time, stay aware, stay inspired, and never stop questioning the world around you.